COP26 is crawling with an army of fossil fuel lobbyists.
It's like if Alcoholics Anonymous was having their global conference and they invited the alcohol industry to fund it.
It's too late to boot them out of the summit, but experts say if we want any real progress on climate change, stop inviting them in today's Top 5.
Welcome to Know This COP26 edition. I'm Alejandro Alba in Glasgow, where climate negotiations need to be more gender inclusive. Let's count down and get to the biggest stories you need to know. Starting at number 5, activist Emi Mahmoud says she can talk to scientists about climate change, but she chooses poetry when it comes to the climate plight of refugees.
You could stop the next tornado from hitting your home, the next hurricane from wiping out your city, the next drought from starving your people, the next lightning strike from ending your life, wouldn't you?
28-year-old Mahmoud serves as a goodwill ambassador for the UN Refugee Agency. The poem is called Di Baladna, which means our land in Arabic. She tells Now This she wrote the poem to raise awareness of the devastating impact climate change is having on the refugees of the world.
What I wanted to do for COP specifically was bring refugees into the conversation, because I'm a former refugee, and I thought it was very, very important to sort of broaden the understanding of what climate change looks like.
Di Baladna is a discussion with Mother Earth over the damages inflicted on her from mankind, and ends with a poignant question.
How will the world end? I don't know. And I don't want to find out. Not in our generation, and not in the next.
At number 4, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and AOC bring a powerful delegation to the gender equality talks in Glasgow.
Pelosi says it's the largest collection of congressional lawmakers to attend an international climate summit. While the House Speaker is touting the Biden administration's recent victory, passing the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which will spend billions in battling climate change. Pelosi adds that the unprecedented bill will open the doors for women and girls to lead in the clean energy transition plan. But all eyes were on AOC, a fierce champion of green energy initiatives, and she had this advice for the young protesters in Glasgow and around the world.
And message for the young people, ma'am.
I would say stay in the streets and keep in the streets.
She also said it would be a dream to spend some time with the protesters at the summit.
Number 3, indigenous women of Peru trying to fight climate change say they can't do it without more funding.
We had the chance to speak with Tabea Cacique, who works on a platform of indigenous people working to reverse global warming. She tells us there are many obstacles at this crucial moment.
Tiene presupuesto suficiente para la implementación en territorios, en comunidades. Hacemos llamado a los financistas que apoyan a esta plataforma y coordinen con las organizaciones representativas.
Several nations have pledged $1.7 billion to help indigenous people protect the forests of the world, while promising them a role in the decision-making and design of climate programs. Cacique says it's time for women to be allowed to take the lead.
Como mujer, queremos trabajar también que consideren las actividades diferenciadas de las mujeres en territorio, en comunidades. Si bien es cierto, nosotros venimos aportando, muchas veces está invisibilizada la participación de las mujeres.
At number 2, women are in the front lines of the fight against climate change, but mostly men are making the big decisions.
At COP26, they are pushing back to change the overrepresentation of men and demanding equal participation from women.
Women are more affected than men by climate change because of their traditional roles they taken in the society. They're more bound to take care, and they're also very responsible for feeding the family. If there's land lost due to extreme weather, they are the first vulnerable and the first that get hurt by this, and at the same time they're left out of the negotiations. They're not part of it.
A new UN study found that alongside children, women in developing nations account for 80% of those displaced by climate-related disaster. It also underscored a lack of consistent progress toward gender balance in government delegations.
Often the gender perspective in climate change is being overlooked and also pushed out by certain countries. For example, Saudi Arabia actively pushes gender and human rights out of the negotiation documents.
Gender justice, now!
In Glasgow, they are trying to make sure women's voices are at the negotiation tables. COP26 President Alok Sharma announced 2 programs to boost the number of women in climate leadership roles. Also, the UK is pledging more than $220 million to tackle gender equality and climate change at the same time.
And at number 1, the irony of COP26 when you consider that the largest delegation represents the fossil fuel industry.
It's like if Alcoholics Anonymous was having their global conference and they invited the alcohol industry to fund it.
Here's a breakdown according to Global Witness. There are more than 500 lobbyists at the climate conference from over 100 fossil fuel companies, some linked to the biggest polluting oil giants in the world. That's larger than the delegations of 8 countries that are the hardest hit by climate destruction combined. Environmental activist Kumi Naidoo sees the inclusion of the fossil fuel lobbyists as glaringly counterproductive conflict of interest.
How do we expect to get a just, legitimate outcome of this place when it's dominated by the very people that contribute to the problem?
While these companies say it's crucial for them to be part of the transition to clean energy, protesters know all too well that where there are lobbyists, there is greenwashing, and they want the fuel industry shut out. And one last thing, those big-headed world leaders are at it again in Glasgow, trying to negotiate climate change measures in a sinking boat. This latest stunt to draw attention to the crisis of rising sea levels due to global warming.
That's today's top news. What was the biggest for you? Tell me in the comments below, and make sure to follow Now This Earth for more COP26 news. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more news you need to know.